Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back. We are going to be getting into 3 stocks today in this video and a little teaser towards the end, so stick around. We're going to start with Nio because that has been the hottest tech stock on the market right now. And then after this video, I'll post one more regarding the status of AMC and GameStop. But Nio first, I wanted to get into bam! Nio on the monthly doing insane work. Up another 10% today, up 1% after hours, and I just can't stop rubbing my hands about this stock. It looks amazing. Now, you are within the monthly Bollinger Bands, or may I say, barely peaking out. So we shall see what this next week looks like. If you're able to close outside of the monthly Bollinger Bands, they will undoubtedly begin to expand to unlock higher prices. That is what I'm looking for on Nio. About 95% of price action happens within the Bollinger Bands, right? So I would not be surprised to see this thing take a breather here, and I think it would be healthy. But I mean, it's like can't stop, won't stop Nio right now, because on the weekly Bollinger Bands, you are sitting right on top. You broke out, you came back down to test the top of it, and now you're going. So we're really, on the weekly time frame, you're looking at squeeze territory off of these bands. You don't see that often whatsoever. You saw it one time here where you went above the weekly Bollinger Band, and then you came right back in. You saw it one time here where you went outside the weekly Bollinger Band, closed above, and then went back in. And then, yeah, I mean, typically you will ride the Bollinger Band like a worm, right? Think of the SpongeBob worm, right? I know Ron Kitty posted that. You're riding the worm, you got your cowboy hat on, you're going for the ride, and typically this price action happens on top of or below when you're going up. So for it to be so extended here is both bullish and bearish, right? It's amazing to see the bulls winning here. It is amazing to see the momentum in the green direction. But I still wouldn't be surprised if you saw some kind of consolidation wedge like this form up, let's say, give or take within the next week or so, because you do still have daily gaps to the downside that you would look to fill if you were going to do something like this, right? But amazing day for Nio, and I wanted to get into the micro and kind of cover what that looks like. Let's start with the daily. You know our thesis. If you've been watching us on Nio for quite some time, we've talked about the monthly Bollinger Bands and your ability to mount that mid-band being entirely crucial to what this stock can do. It mounted the mid-band, and then you saw a immediate move up to that top band, right? Beyond that, we also talked about, let me cover the quarterly MACD crossing up for the first time since back in 2020. So great momentum on this stock. You're finally seeing a relief bounce. Potentially into that $10 range is where you see a lot of resistance and your next big area to hold if you're able to get above. Let's get into the daily here, and I'll take a sip of coffee before we start back up. Make sure to slap the subscribe button. We've had tremendous momentum recently, and I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. We're almost at 200 subscribers. The amount of time we've done this, I could not have pictured, because we have immense support. And I love each and every single one of you guys. You guys are amazing. We've been blowing up the comment section, and I love to reply. So please blow up the comment section. I love to talk stocks, so let's talk stocks. And in talking stocks, your daily gaps, right? We talked about this previously. You have a gap over at 450, you have a gap at 510, and then you have a gap at 560 now. Now, truthfully, the ones that I'm looking to fill in the immediate term to short term is you want to fill this 560 gap. This is going to be crucial because this has acted as such hard resistance for so long, right? You gapped above it, you rejected, 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 you bounced, you bounce, 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 bounce. And then it goes all the way back to the IPO. I know I've brought this up before, but you bounce, bounce. Ooh, that's $10, sorry. Bounce, bounce, reject, reject, bounce, 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 reject. You get it. 560 is a very important level to hold. So the fact that you're cruising above this thing makes me believe that there's some kind of deeper news on Nio that we have yet to see coming around earnings. Who knows? We'll see it. My boy commented in the comments the other video that it would be September 6th. So I will make sure to tune in to the September 6th earnings and see what happens. Maybe it's an acquisition. Maybe it's a merger, right? You never quite know. Maybe it's profitability. There's a lot of positive things within earnings lately, so I would not be shocked. But for now, we need to bounce off of this 560 to 550 area and fill this gap. And trading sideways on lower volume would be your most ideal opportunity to look for a buy-in. In my opinion, that's kind of what I've been looking for because I've been covering Nio for so long, but I have not bought in. I want to find a ideal area to buy in so we can run a little test here because this stock looks really, really good, and I'm hoping that with earnings coming out, you can see some fundamental change happen around the corner because it's not just the daily. It looks nice on the weekly, it looks nice on the monthly, it looks nice on the quarterly chart. Right? And you got this beautiful daily golden cross that you have yet to test. So maybe you get in right here, you come down to fill these gaps, you average down, and then you go, right? Who knows? Not financial advice. Definitely, I do not know. So let's go into the 4-hour chart. In the 4-hour chart, you can see you are about to cross up on the 4-hour MACD. Inherently a bullish thing. You actually did not get a cross down all throughout this. I thought you would. You got one here, right? That was a pretty sharp move down to $6 flat. And now you're expecting to make this higher high. And to be honest, I mean, last time you got a cross up on the 4-hour MACD, if historical data is anything, right? You got a 54% move. The time before that, when you got a cross up, you got a crossed up right about here, a 9% move, right? So, I mean, it does vary, but generally, when you get a 4-hour cross up on the MACD, it does end positive. So regardless of what happens within this price range, right, you could still look to fill our price target at $7 that we took, right? You guys remember from the last video? We took right here, we went on top of this wedge, and that is where you should expect this thing to top out. It could happen before or after, but it should at least hit $7. You got to $6.99. That's insanely close to $7. And insanely close to this breakout price target, right? So maybe you see some kind of double top into this consolidation. We'll just have to play it by ear. It is a very reactive thing when you're trying to guess where this thing's going to top out. All you can really do is take the formations, take the indicators, and see what it's telling you, right? And right now it's telling me that it has a little bit left to go before you find that consolidation. Now going into the 30-minute, I want to cover what this looks like. Let's go even further. Let's go to the 10-minute. And I go here because not only did you just get a green cross on the MACD, this is what displays on your Robinhood. This is what displays on Webull, usually when you open it up, right? And what I like to see here from the bulls is you are making a lot of mini-shaped bullish patterns, right? I wasn't charting this when it was happening, but I can tell you that this was a bull flag with the expected breakout and it overextended, right? And then this right here is either another bull flag or it is a bullish triangle that you have just broke out and retested in the after hours, guys. This thing could gap up potentially again, especially with a green SPY and a green IWM. That is another bull flag, right? So taking the profit target, which we're going to do, the previous run, length, on top of the flag, that takes you to about $7.20. So now you see a little bit of confluence technically between the first longer stick pull and then this miniature bull flag that you formed here today since about 9 a.m. I mean, you gapped up and then you really just traded sideways. That is bullish consolidation, anticipating a move higher, right? And it looks really, really good on the 10 minutes. So I wouldn't even be opposed to short-term swings here. It all really just depends what kind of trader you are and what kind of risk you're opening yourself up to. That is the micro and macro update for Nio. We know the bull case thesis. If anything bearish is flashing and comes up, I will cover it as well. I am not just a bull poster. So let's get into the second stock I want to talk about. And I mentioned this stock yesterday. I mentioned it when it was down here at about $2.30 to $2.40, saying how nice this thing looks. It looks delicious. That looks scrumptious. Just look at the daily. Look at that daily candle. That's absurd. Look at the volume. Oh my God. Now you see the thing that kind of had me questioning is this gap down here at 69 cents. Not all gaps have to fill. Typically they do, right? Typically they do. And this is another one I'm kicking myself for not getting in. And I literally mentioned it yesterday. It looks like green skies until $5. It really does. Nasty setup here on Robotics. You had a break back up after a recovery, break back up into a bull flag. And technically, if you take this bull flag to the top, so that's your flag pull, onto the flag, and you get a price target of about $10, which would be pretty insane. Let's see if we can form some kind of technical confluence here. Let me do this. Let's see. I'm rubbing my hands. So not quite. It is close. It is close. It would top out about $13 to $14, depending on where you tap along this. But if you take the previous two tops on the previous two runs, that would be your price target or a area of resistance. But what I was interested in was this more local top, and a little bit shorter of a price target at $5.50. I'm not too much of a moon boy aiming up here. I want to take the guaranteed locked in profits. An exciting volume on the daily. Just insane, up 32%. The weekly candle, weekly candle literally perfectly tapped the 200-day EMA on the weekly time frame. So you could now probably begin to see a pullback unless you gap above. And if you gap above, then this thing is just looking for $5 next week in a hurry. If that happens, it'll be absurd. You'll see more volume and you'll see buyers step in and begin to FOMO, and then this thing will have a more explosive retracement. Now, what I'd like to see if you're a bull, right, and if you want to really find a position in this, is this thing begin to, oh yeah, stocks go back in time. Now they do. What you'd like to see is this thing begin to do one of these, right? And then make that leg higher to $6 to $5. And that would create this kind of U-shaped, you break, you get to the 200-day EMA, you trade right below it or on top of it, and then you look for an explosive move of 50% or more, right? that is kind of how this thing has trended because it has made explosive moves in short periods of time. So I would not be surprised to see this thing go up and capitulate. So be careful in robotics. Looks really, really promising though. Before we click off, let's look at the monthly here. You're above the 50-day EMA, which you have not done in its history since back here in December of 2023. So that is a very positive development. Where are you on the Bollinger Bands? Touching the top band. So I would anticipate that you either rock it or you find a little bit of retracement to the top of the band at $3 flat. So holding $3 into the monthly close will be very, very important for you guys in robotics. I think that's all I got on robotics. We kind of know the story. It looks insane, feels insane. GoPro was one that I mentioned in Twitter, just to give you guys some perspective here. Mentioned it in Twitter, And it was really, really funny because I ended up doing follow-up on this. It said, GoPro is looking squeezy going into the week. You need to find a bounce from the daily golden cross and fill the gap above $2. This was GoPro before it moved. And then the same day, or was it? Yeah, the same day after market close, this was GoPro. You literally just went vertical from the golden cross. So very, very good looks on GoPro. Let's see. And it made another higher high within this range. So I'm not quite following or buying in at these levels, but was good if you were able to get on this wedge formation. And then the last thing I wanted to cover was something that I tweeted last night and got reposted by our boy Jackie Lette. I'm not going to finish the saying, but MVIS looks very, very squeezy. MVIS is doing something it hasn't done in a very long time. It is breaking out and closing above. You got a green cross on the daily MACD, which in the stock's history has meant very, very good things typically. You got one back here. Let's take that measurement. Green cross went up 30%. Green cross right here went up 56%. And so now you're approaching the end of this wedge, getting a green cross on the daily MACD while you break out. So I think there's a very real opportunity to ride this thing up to 180. And if you break 180, guys, it's game on. Because the next resistance you would have wouldn't be until $3. It wouldn't. It would just, you would cruise until $3. Above $3, you have a gap fill at $5 or $4.80. That is what I'm targeting on MVIS. That is a 300 to 400% move from these current levels. And the thing that got me absolutely jacked, got me very excited about this stock, was the Bollinger Bands on the daily time frame look like this. The Bollinger Bands on the daily time frame going into the breakout look like this, which should propel you into a squeeze-like movement, right? Combined with the MACD. And that's what I outlined when I posted that, and our boy retweeted me at 2.2K views. You are at $1.08, and the Bollinger Bands were continuing to constrict. It's quite insane how tight these things are. And you can see now they've begun to level out a bit. They've kind of flatlined here because you're above the mid-band of the Bollinger Bands. This is bullish, guys. You should expect a test of 115. Above 115, you're going to the 200-day EMA at 123. That is MVIS looking squeezy, and in my opinion, still not too late to find a good area to buy. I'm just not going to say it because this is not financial advice. Do not do or act on what I say, guys. Come on, you know the drill. That is all for the Nio/Tech stock video. Please, one more time, slap the subscribe button. Tune in for the next video. I'm going to be going over AMC and GameStop. And God bless, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And peace.